across when we send it to each other. It's like, damn, remember where we were in business at that stage? Remember that picture in London, bro?
Yes.
Dude, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. And we're all
Dude, we had
standing
two
in London
carriers.
on this I know. And who was the second one? I only remember one.
Oh no, they fired us and hired us back.
Trust me, I remember, bro. Oh man, it's been a journey. What's cool, dude, is watching people like this, and as I continue to start to help more new people, like a lot of y'all don't see things obviously the way Dom and I do. The only advantage we have is we get to look backwards, and it allows us to connect some of the dots that you don't see yet that will connect for you going forward if you play this thing the right way. And a lot of us, like y'all, are all together in a group trying to make things happen. Dude, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, me and Dom and Andrew and a bunch of other people, all the names y'all know today, we were just like y'all, sitting on the other side trying to figure this thing out. And all of us figured out different things at different times. I think what we did well, dude, is and continue to do is always add value to each other along the way. And in this business, you guys will come across plenty of people. And if you've been here for more than a few months, hell, Bryce, I know you've been here for a minute, dude. You're gonna come across some people with some incredible fucking talent that don't do shit and leave the business. And the only thing I can ever think of, dude, when I see all of us that have been along this journey is we're just the goons that didn't quit. And kept getting better and kept understanding the game and working at it and playing the game the way it's meant to be played. And I say game, and it's like I know what we do is serious, but there is a lot of intentionality that we all do. And quite frankly, a lot of us internally have to make this thing some sort of game to be able to push the way we push for the length of time we push for. And for me, dude, that game was numbers. Other people's strengths were different things. Um, and like a lot of yours early on was like you just didn't let things get in your way. You just didn't care. You had no emotion. You went after it. You were super coachable. Like that's a power of yours. You know, I wasn't insanely coachable at the beginning, to be honest. And when I started to realize that was a big piece of it too, combining coachability with numbers for me is what changed the game. What's funny, dude, I wish you were here in Atlanta, Dom. My mom came by for Mother's Day, dude. And you've heard people ask me over the years, like, what made you start tracking shit? And I have to
Yep.
like explain it's just kind of who I am and I'm a nerd and whatever. So she brings this like a baby book. And my mom, you've talked to her, obviously.
Yeah.
She's fucking crazy. So it's kind of where I get some of the crazy from. And like most of us, our moms save like crap from when we we're a kid. Well, she has a lot of stuff. She brought this little baby flip book that I've never seen before. And because I was talking to her about something, she's like, I have that. And I was telling her about a training I was doing where I was talking about me tracking numbers as a kid. I used to track all kinds of stuff. She's like, dude, I have a lot of that stuff still. So Sunday, she brings to my house this little baby book. We flip it open, dude. And when I was in we played in Little League baseball. And when I was in Little League, dude, I used to track all of my personal stats when I played. So she brought it to me, handwritten, the date of the game, how many at bats, how many hits, singles, doubles, triples, walks, strikeouts, stolen bases, my batting average. Dude, I was 11 tracking my stats in baseball, you know? And I've just it's just who I am. I like to see stats and ratios. I don't know why, dude. It gives me such clarity. And for me, I like simple. I don't like complicated. I can miss a lot of things. I feel like I read kind of fucking slow. The baby book confirmed that because all of my teachers were like all C's and D's and like comprehension and reading and effort and all this stuff, right? But when you start looking at this thing, man, I'm looking back and it's like it helps me. I don't understand how people, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just don't understand it because I've done it since I was a kid. I don't understand how people do an activity and don't keep track of it. I can't wrap my head around not tracking. Like this watch, dude, I have some dope watches. I'm wearing a fucking Garmin because it tracks my steps and my calories and my workouts and you know what I mean? It's just who I am, dude.
Yeah. The Rolex doesn't
And
do that.
no, it does not. Dude, that
Yeah.
Rolex, bro. Hey, Some of y'all like, I want a Rolex. Yeah, buy one and leave it on your counter for a day. It runs out. It doesn't work anymore the next day. Like $15,000 for a watch and the battery runs out in 14 hours. I'm like, what the hell? They go, no, there's no battery. It's from movement. So I'm like, can I go to one? This will last 8,000 days before I need to charge it. Rolex, 12 hours. I'm like, yeah, you know. But I say all that to just help you understand that what Dom says is that is me naturally, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And I think when people hear the way I track things, can I complicate it? Sure. I'm a nerd. I'm an accountant. I've done it my whole life. I can certainly get complex, but I had to teach it in a very simple manner to people who aren't good at tracking stuff and stats and ratios and things like that. And I want to make this business really simple because when it clicked for me, I was like, I was kind of mad because I wish people explained it to me differently beforehand. And, it's also kind of combined with sometimes we're not ready to hear things. You know what I mean? So at that stage, maybe I just wasn't ready to hear the stuff. In the first couple years, dude, I was pretty mediocre. We come from field sales day. I know a lot of field sales is more of the background. When Dom and I were in the field, obviously he sold more recently too, remotely. But at the time I was trying to present, dude, 5, 6, 7 times a week to clients, and I made a few bucks. I made okay money in the space relative to my accountant days when I was making 40 grand a year with 5 kids. But I wasn't lighting the world on fire, dude. I was consistently inconsistent. I was good at that. You know, if I didn't have a massive week, my lead purchase, I'd be like, I'd sacrifice it the next week, and then I'd sacrifice appointments. You know what I mean? I'd have a lower sales week. And then I learned if I did it after a high sales week, when you get some cancels from you take 5, 6, 7 apps one week, and then you only take one the next week and two cancel. Well, now you're negative this week. You know what I mean? Like most people go through that. And so I'm looking at this game, dude, trying to figure it out. And there were a lot of people selling at a high level, man. And I remember starting to ask some of the winners, if you will, the people on stages, questions to just really understand. And I wanted to ask all these sales questions. What do you say here? When they say this objection, what do you say? What's lead type? I know, what time do you call them? What Hey, do you write anything down before you call? And all these weird analytical, like all these things I wanted to know about. And obviously I saw one of our best buddies in the space, man, talk about activity early on. And someone challenged me, and they were I get my first year at FFL, for instance, my first year part-time pre-FFL, I did like 60 grand. Which again, better than accounting, not terrible. Wasn't lighting the world on fire. First year at FFL, I issued 170. I netted probably 80 after leads and advances and all that jazz. Which again, not bad for a kid from the hood who only made 40. But it wasn't the 300, 400 people were talking about, the kind of money you were writing and Sean and all these other people. And I wanted to get there. And so many people in the space or in sales just talk about sales technique. Does that make sense? The 5 steps to sales success and the 10 alphabet letters you can use to get less people to say no and all these weird things. Right. And if you know me, I'm not super formal, just to be real. If you don't know me at all, well, it's who I am. And I tried my best and I tried to put sales stuff in. And I remember having a script and I'm trying to say it like the dude on the sales training said it, but he talks real proper and he's been through sales training where, he's all using all this stuff. And it just didn't click for me, dude. I was really slow with that piece. And when I started to understand and look at my numbers, I was tracking them and I only kept track of basic stuff, dude. How many phone calls, how many picked up, and how many I booked. That was it at the beginning. And then, of course, I kept track of if they were there when I got there. And I certainly kept track if I sold them or not. Right? It was really basic crap. And I didn't use a CRM. I'm a nerd. I used Excel. But I always tell people, dude, I don't care if you use napkins and a crayon. I go to the chiropractor, bro, and the little girl who checks me in at the chiropractor office, every time I walk in, she checks a little thing that a new customer walked in the door. And then when someone pays, she fills in a thing that says how much they paid. And so even the chiropractor watches how many clients come in, how much new revenue they brought in, just basic stuff, you know. And I'd argue most people on here probably don't know how many phone calls they made last week or last month. They probably don't know how many apps they wrote last week or last month. They probably have no idea how much they deposited, maybe a ballpark. They probably don't know how much their monthly bills are. They probably don't know how much their monthly lead spend is, how many leads they get, like just basic level stuff, dude. Right. And I knew that stuff, but I didn't know what to do with the information, So I start looking at it one day, bro, after the first convention. Right. So if any of you haven't been at a convention or an event or a lock in or ignite or any of this stuff we got going on, for me, that was a life changing moment, dude, attending one. All right. Because I got to hear different perspectives. And I have someone ask me about numbers, right? He's talented, he sells a lot, and he asked me on numbers. And when I told him how many people I was seeing a month, my answer was 40. I was like, I'm like 40 a month. Dude laughed in my face, like straight up laughed in my face. Because I was asking him how to make $500,000. And he was like, well, how many people do you see a month? I'm like, I don't know, 40. And he like spit out his water laughing type laugh. Right. And I was like, I ain't smart, but I don't think he thinks that's good. you know? And so I didn't take a lot into it, but he asked me a question. He's like, dude, did you not hear me just talk about what I do? And I'm like, well, I mean, I did, but I still want to know like what lead company you use, bro. And what do you say? And I want to know all the stuff still. And he's like, dude, you just don't get it, bro. He goes, why do you expect my result with your work ethic? And I was like, that's that's a good question. I didn't think of that. I don't know. So I kind of tucked my tail between my legs and went home and started thinking. And for me, dude, I started looking at numbers. And what I learned after that event was my part-time year when I made 60 grand, dude. Right? I looked back to the previous 2 years I had been in the business that I had all my stats on. I was making like, 4 grand a month or whatever. And I was making a few hundred phone calls a month. It wasn't anything crazy. I wasn't lighting the world on fire, 100 phone calls a week, whatever. But when I did the math, right? And for me, I'll also preface with I'm pretty emotional. I'm negative by default. Like if a situation happens, my perspective is going to go to they did it on purpose. What the F? They did it to affect me, hurt me, bother me. I'm not like a glass half full by default person. I start off on the negative side of things. I don't know if anybody can relate, right? And sometimes people have to like, yo, that's not what they meant at all. And I'm like, oh, my bad. I just start out defensive, right? And when people told me no on the phone and the leads didn't work out, dude, I got emotional. When I got kicked out of houses or didn't make a sale or someone canceled, I was emotional. And I didn't realize at the time how much that was impacting me. So I was struggling with emotion and I wasn't making the money I want to make. So I start looking at these numbers to understand what he meant when he asked me that question. And I discovered, dude, that if I had a certain amount of activity over the course of time, it's like baseball stats. Like, dude, day one of the baseball season, who cares what your batting average is? It's not going to matter in the fall. You know what I mean? It's like it's gonna average out over time. But I figured out, dude, for me mentally, that every activity equaled money. Right? There's activity and there's money. We do the activity to make the money. The piece people hate, including me, is all the shit in the middle. Right? The buying the leads, the calling the leads, the cancels, the what to do, the fall, all the stuff, all the no's and the negatives, right? That's the only thing between activity and money is the stuff. And the stuff is what we hate. The stuff is what makes us emotional. The stuff is what makes our tone suck the next time you pick up the phone. You know what I mean? And your clients pick up on that. They hear that. You have a poor tone and you're mad and you wonder why you're not booking appointments. I'm like, you sound like if I'm frustrated, y'all don't even know me and you would be able to tell I'm frustrated. If I was sad or crying, you'd be able to tell in my voice instantly, you know? And people can hear you. And when you portray yourself in the manner in which you feel emotionally, they hear it. And that was affecting me, dude. So I look at these numbers, called 100 phone calls a week, making $1,000 a week, whatever it was. I do the math and I take my deposits and my dials and I divided one by the other. And it told me how much I make per phone call. Does that make sense? So again, I'm making $4,000 a month. I'm making a few hundred phone calls a month, whatever the exact numbers were. And if any of y'all that have read the book I wrote, I forget what chapter 4, it's called 17, the number that changed my life. Because when I did that math, it came out to $17 per phone call. And this was in 2012, 2011, 2012. 2012 was the year. Part time at a 50 comp, right? $17 every time I made a phone call that year. But I didn't know that till the beginning of 2015. I didn't know during the 2012 and 2013 and 2014 stages. That was a thing. I was just doing the work and keeping track of it. And I look back and every phone call equaled $17 for that year. Then I did the next year, dude, the 14 year, and I looked at appointments compared to my deposits. So how many appointments I booked, how much I made. So again, activity, money. And it was $300 every time I booked an appointment. Didn't matter the outcome, right? And the deposits include all the bullshit. It includes the chargebacks. It includes the cancels. It includes all the stuff we hate because you got the money, right? So I was like, yo, $17 to call someone on average. That's what my number was. And again, a lot of people don't track their numbers, so they don't know theirs. I've gone to trainings, bro, and said, hey, if I offered to pay you $1, just $1, every time you made a phone call, how early would you come in? Y'all type it. If John Wetmore and Dom, we put a pool of money in together and we pay you $1 every time you make a phone call, what time would you start calling? Be interesting to see. Remember this conversation early, Dom? The time of calling? Just like flashback moment, bro. Of our 2 a.m. you'd start calling.
Henry said 2 a.m.
Yeah. When would you finish? For $1 a phone call.
Wouldn't go to bed.
Anybody in here actually track their numbers? Does anyone actually know theirs? What do you got, Zach?
Yeah.
How long you been here, bro? I see you're the first one I saw. Give me rough ideas.
I've been here. I think I'm in my 7th month. I do it the old way, still just like how many people
Paper.
pick up. Yeah,
My man. My son, Braden Dom, is 17 now. He'll be 18 in November. I got him learning how to dial. I literally 20 minutes ago handed him the same sheet of paper. I'm like, just track it like this, dude. Simple, old school. Well, how many? Give me some rough idea, like numbers in a month. What are you making in a month right now?
Me and Dominique went over my numbers for April. I spent 5,000. I spent $5,082 to be exact, and issued 16,487.
Okay. Do you keep track of your phone calls?
Yeah, you know what though? Honestly,
Give me a ballpark.
Some days I don't really track my phone calls. I track my contacts, but then I made 209 calls on the 10th of May. I got in contact with 12 people, did 3 presentations.
So you're like 12 contacts a week, or is that a day?
That was a day.
How many for the month you think you contacted? Ballpark it, dude. I don't need exact.
Contacts?
Yeah.
So far for the month of May, I'm at about 160 contacts, I believe.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
$1 a phone call. You said what time would you get up?
Well, I already do get up at 5 a.m., but I would start dialing at 5 a.m.
All right. So do you think you made 16,000 phone calls last month?
No.
All right. So you're making more than $1 a phone call now. But you're also not dialing as early as you said you would dial if you made $1 a dial.
Yeah.
And you're already past that. You did 16 grand on way less than 16,000. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bryce, I just saw, he does his because he's been hearing me talk about this shit for years. He makes $26 a phone call so far this year. You know what I mean? Like, so it's wild, dude, Dom, when I go for $1 a call, what time would you start? What time would you end? And then dude who kind of knows his numbers and y'all went over him, still doesn't even really know him, smoking that number, right? And it's like, he's just a dude in the group. Anyone in here can do that. Look how much you made this week. Look how many phone calls you made and do the math. Now, again, does it work day by day, week by week? Not really, dude. When you do it over the long run, you really know your number, you know? And so I'm like, for me, as I was building this thing, I'm like, if you would do all that for $1, have you never done the basic math on what this pays? And you can see the excitement about the dollar. Dom says no one's ever done it. You know what I mean? And so I like to look at this thing and go, I can make a phone call and get paid $17. And if he tells me to fuck off, I still make $17. They're like, yep. Okay, can I call him more than once? Actually, I'm making 17 bucks. I'm not even going to ask. I'm going to call him multiple times. How many times now would you call a lead if you made $1 every time you called them? Or much less, Bryce is $26 a call. And maybe you don't think you're as skilled as Bryce. Fine. Can you be somewhere between it? You already said you do it at $1. I can't go lower. It'd be zero. So you've already agreed to do it 24 hours a day, basically at the lowest you can make, which is $1. You know what I mean? And for me, when that clicked, dude, I was like 17 bucks a phone call, 300 bucks every time I book an appointment. Yo. So what if I just run 30 appointments a week? 300 bucks a pop, dude, that's 10 G's a week. Why don't I just do that? Who gives a shit about all the 10 steps to the alphabet sales process? I just don't care. Not that I'm not going to try to get better, but dude, I was stuck in that weird thing, Dom. You know how new agents fall into that thing where they want to learn everything before they do more? They want to know everything before they buy more. They want to know everything before they call more leads or before they try a new product or before they, you get stuck there. But I'm like, you already suck and you're making no money and you're making per activity a big number if it just compounded. And when I went at it, dude, I understood that. And I was like, yo, 2015. And this happened in March of 2015. Okay. And Dom got to watch this because he was here. I don't think anyone else in the room was here during that stage. I was just a dude who was here. It was like the part-time accountant guy that they saw around every once in a while. I wasn't John Wetmore, whatever y'all think today. I was just a guy who was around a bit. And I changed and I'm like, yo, I'm going for a minimum, and I'm telling field sales, sitting at kitchen tables. So there's a formula to telesales, and it's more numbers. So I want you to understand the concept first. 30 people a week over the course of the year, Dom. If I do that every week, it's 1,500 people for the year. So I was like, if I book 1,500, and let's just say 500 no-show me, and I only see 1,000. And then of those 1,000 of the year, I only sell 25% of them. $1,000 an app, dude, that's $250K. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for that this year. Hence the name of the book, Do More Now, Get Better Later. I literally was like, yo, what if I scrap all the NEPQ, scientific psychology behind the sale of, what if I just forget about that today and just go make 17 bucks a phone call for the year? What if I just do that? Every time I make a phone call, I make 17 bucks. I know that. What if I just do that for 12 months straight and then see what happens? And dude, I went after it, bro. 30 appointments a week, 100, it was 120 a month, 1,500 for the year. And I didn't understand the concept of like momentum, which sounds weird to say out loud, but I didn't understand how impactful that was in our space. When you see a lot of people in a small window, the whole game is different. And I also didn't take into account the skill set acquired by seeing that many people that fast, right? Combined with I was already doing some of the study and the training. I want to be clear. I'm not saying don't do that shit. I prioritized it. I didn't prioritize activity. So the only shift I made was let me prioritize activity. No matter what, I'm hitting those numbers. And I went and chased it in 2015, dude. And I slipped up, and instead of issuing 250, I issued 460. Hit Hall of Fame, changed my world. And I'd been licensed for 5 years at that point, dude. I got my license in 2010. This didn't happen until 2015, in 9 months, basically, because I didn't do shit the first quarter, really. I went to a convention, came back, had the conversation. I went after it starting in March of 2015. Dude, by summer, I was on everybody's team call. I was training at the summer sales conferences we used to have. And by the end of the year, dude, I was on stage getting the biggest award we had at the time for an individual, you know? And I was like, well, shit, why didn't someone tell me it was this easy earlier? And I was kind of pissed. Everyone made it more complicated, at least the people I was listening to. I can certainly look back and listen to like you and Sean speaking and being like, yo, they were saying stuff kind of like this. You didn't use the numbers thing, but you were talking about the simplicity stuff. You know what I mean? And when I understood the numbers, I was like, oh, that's the magic. And dude, it worked, bro. And I haven't changed it since because it keeps working. Now, again, that was 2015, bro. Going into 2015, I had one agent. His name was John. That was it. I'd hired people, but no one stuck. I didn't know how to get people paid. I didn't know how to keep them profitable. I didn't know how to do that piece. But dude, you go out and run those kind of consistent numbers, 460 grand, dude, you stack 40K months one on top of the other. You start stacking cash, and that's all I did was like, well, then I got afraid to lose it. So I was like, well, I ain't going to slow down. And then it started getting easy to recruit because I could just explain, like, yo, Devin, you don't need to know shit, bro. Like, it's a piece of paper. You need a script to call someone back to say, hey, I'm calling you back about this thing. Meaning, if I said, like, hey, Dom forgot his water, call him back, tell him you want to bring it to him tomorrow. Do you need a script for that? Why do we get in our head that we need a script because we're calling him back about a Facebook form? Like, just call him back, tell him you get back to them. It's not that deep. Does that make sense? What about all the paperwork? I started going, hey, Dom, good news. It's in English. And where they ask first name, you put first name. Where they ask address, you put address. Social, you put social. Any other questions? Yeah, but I don't know what to write. Yeah, I know. But there's a sheet. It's just like a fucking dictionary. It's in alphabetical order. You look, D for diabetes, they tell you exactly what to do. That's how I started training, dude. And I was like, can we just work more? I don't know how to, I'm not the work smarter, not harder guy. I like both, but I'm not the work smarter, not harder guy and be the 90% close ratio. I want that for everybody, but it wasn't real life for me, dude. I get no charge. You see those assholes on TikTok saying they don't get chargebacks in the insurance industry? They're lying. They're not telling y'all the truth. I get leads for $4. They're lying. It's smoke, a lot of it, dude. And for me, man, I just started attacking this thing from a different angle, bro, and the numbers didn't lie. And I was like, why do it any other way? And when I started teaching everyday people, if you just outwork everyone in this room, because I love you, and I don't know your group, Dom, but I'm just going to be me. Yeah. The overwhelming majority of you are not hard to outwork. It's just truth. It's the reality in life. Most adults are not difficult to outwork in anything. I'm on like a health journey. Dude, I use the same concept there. I just lift something heavy and sweat every fucking day. That's my workout routine. And dude, for almost 50, I'm pretty fucking ripped. And I don't know when I do biceps or triceps. I don't know the science behind anything. I just work out more than most of y'all. That's it. And I don't put as much shit in my mouth as y'all do. That's it. In this business, to me, when I realized it could be that, and I don't say that to say I don't have skill, that I don't teach a skill set, because I will. But what I learned, dude, is if I start teaching the skill sets piece, we want to role play phone script, for instance, and you're making 47 phone calls a week, 112 phone calls a week. You're seeing 6 people, 8 people, 10 people, and you want in-home training, phone script training, product training. In my head, dude, and I mean this with everything, if I then give you the phone script training and don't explain the activity thing to you, I feel like I'm lying. Because Dominique Rogers' phone script training ain't going to make you rich if you only make 42 phone calls a day. It's just not. And I just wish more people would be honest about that part, dude. So I love training. I love the psychology. You sit me with a 70-year-old senior mortgage protection, dude, I'll sell the snot out of that thing. You give me someone in their 20s, I know the angle. You give me someone 52 who has had a policy since he was 22, dude, I know the angle. But I found myself, in order to scale, dude, I spent so much time teaching the technical part to people who didn't have the activity. And then, as one of our other mentors called this, then you're just an educated broke person. And we don't want those. You know what I mean? So it's the combination that's deadly. But if I had to pick one, I'm putting activity first all day, every day. Because you'll fall into numbers. Again, it's not like we're selling people shit they don't know they need. They know they need it. They're procrastinators. All you got to do is get people to pull the trigger on something they know they need, find their why. Like what we do is the simple part. In telesales, the ones killing it, and y'all that do it at a high level can confirm it. I speak to a lot of people who do telesales. On the low end, I'm hearing 10, 15 appointments or a day, trying to 10, 15 presentations a day.
Yep.
I just did Madison, dude. He does 800 grand. He's doing 25 a day. Every 30 minutes, he's double booked. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hear anyone in telesales killing a top leaderboard going like C10 a week. I don't see that anywhere. And I just wish more people would be direct about it. And I know you are, but in general, it's like some of y'all got to be direct with yourselves. There's not really a dip your toe in Because we're talking about getting rich, right? Like we're not talking about trying to make 40 grand a year. Y'all want to get rich. Dude, there ain't no getting rich dipping your toe into something. There's not getting rich kind of like sort of doing it sometimes. That's not real life. I don't care what you sell, you know? And for me, dude, the numbers, all it did for me was allow me to put my head down and just do the numbers because I knew with enough reps, the sales side would just work out. The chargebacks would just work out. The cancels, they'd work out. Every once in a while, I'd get an annuity, it'd work out. You know what I mean? And to me, it was like 17 bucks a phone call, 300 bucks an appointment. What if I make a sale? Dude, it was just 17 bucks to call that guy and 300 bucks for the appointment. What if it was 200 bucks a month? I made 300 bucks. What if it was zero? I made 300 bucks. What if it canceled? I still made 300 bucks. You know what I mean? And so you got to watch it on the upside too. I didn't get too excited when I sold a big one because in my head, I'm going like 300 bucks, 300 bucks, 300 bucks, 17 bucks, 17 bucks, 17 bucks. And it just removed the emotion, which then let me speak to people differently because I wasn't so frustrated inside and annoyed and it didn't come out in my voice because I am 100% convinced I was getting paid whether they bought or not because I knew I would get paid on it. It just may not be today. I knew I was going to get paid on the activity, you know, and I still do this shit today, bro. I look at my stuff, man. I have my staff this year look at my whole calendar for the first quarter and count up how many meetings I had, how many Zooms I did, how many flights I got on, how many, all the stuff. And then I looked at my money and I looked at how much I make an appointment now. I was like, yo, that don't suck. You know what I'm saying? And it's an easy way for me to operate, dude. It's an easy language. Everyone understands it. And the reality is, bro, there's no one in here that doesn't know already. If they ain't putting in the work, they know it. If they're doing other shit instead of the things they know they should be doing, they know it. The things they say they should change in their life and they don't, they're aware. When they're sitting up at night and they're like, 3 hours of Netflix, like they know they're doing it. You know, so for me, dude, I just had a like a standard that I created for myself. And if people wanted to be rich and they wanted me to help them, they had to meet that standard. Or one, I didn't know how to help them. And two, they definitely can't complain. So if you aren't hitting the numbers, I ain't mad. Do you? But I laid out the path so clearly. You know, and for me, man, if you don't figure out how to hit high numbers, I've always been honest with people, man, that this industry is going to be inconsistent and probably suck forever if you don't figure out the activity game, you know, and when you do, you'll come out on the other side of it. I remember having these guys. I remember when Bryce was brand new, dude. Come out on the other side, he was struggling with shit. But when you understand the game and how to play it and how to learn and how to be coachable and how to ask the right questions and how the psychology of it is a great addition to have. Oh, dude, you can print money in this space. You know, so you're like taking candy from a baby when you understand it. You know, so
Yeah.
lot before a breath, man. I'll let you pipe in and ask questions or if you got anything there.
Well, there's one thing that you mentioned activity, and and we speak a lot of coming from when we come from booking appointments and things like
Sure.
that. But I remember I asked you about, I think this was 21, right? 21, 20. I was like, hey man, I need to make X amount more. All right.
Yeah. I
Should
remember,
I
dude.
like what should I do with like should I get some other leads or like what should I do? You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
was looking to invest more in leads.
Yep.
And the first question you asked me was, well, what time do you start dialing?
I remember, bro. I remember
Right?
this conversation like it was yesterday because you
You
knew
do it,
your
and I
shit at
go,
this
and
stage.
I go 8 o'clock. You go, okay.
Why
Would
so late?
Yeah, why so late? I go, I don't know. It's time we kind of start. He goes, well, I hear people start at 7:30. Could you start at 7:30? Yep. How many appointments do you book in a half hour? About 5. Okay. Out of those 5, how many do you think you'll close? 1, 2. Let's just call it 1,500. Okay.
Yeah.
In commissions, 1,500 times 52. Dude, you just put an extra 80 grand in my pocket by dialing 30 minutes earlier that year. And I was looking to spend more on leads.
Yeah.
And you said, don't do that. Start dialing 30 minutes earlier. Put 80 grand more in your pocket. Talk to you later.
Yep.
And that was, I remember, I was like, dude, everything isn't dollar signs trying to fix stuff.
Yeah.
It's not always more leads. Sometimes it's about what are you willing to do.
100%.
So now today with telesales, John,
yeah,
what would you recommend? Like willingness now. Like now we can have time zones. We got complete
Bro,
availability. What does
dude.
that conversation look like today as it pertains to when do I start? When do I
Huh.
finish? How do I use my day now?
The reality is, dude, again, if you play the time zone game, you can almost dial 24 hours a day. You get damn close. You know, again, you go, I don't know, if it's, you can start at 7 a.m. Eastern time. You know what I mean? If I'm sitting here in Eastern, I don't know what time, how much is Hawaii behind me? 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is. I know y'all are three. So it's 6 hours behind me.
Yeah.
So, dude, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 a.m. I can dial till Eastern time. I dial from 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern. And then you got people complaining they're broke and they can't. I'm like, what? But you said you dial 24 hours a day for $1. I will pay you $1 per phone call if you do it. But I get to keep your commission.
I was going to say the same thing. Write my agent number in.
No, I'll sign that deal right now with every one of you. You work for me for $1 per phone call. If you make 60 of them an hour, you make $60 an hour. Best paying job you've ever had. I'll put you on payroll. I'll give you fucking benefits. Anyone want to start at 7 a.m. and dial till 3 a.m., I will pay you $1 per phone call for 18, 20 hours a day. And I'll get filthy rich.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
Yo.
It's like, dude, there's no excuses in today's world. Electronic apps, instant approval. You can get leads like you can twinkle your nose and have leads in a few minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I have money. I don't have money. All right. Open your front door. There's 300 million people out there. Go hustle. I'm not saying that's the best thing on planet Earth to do. I'd rather you buy leads. But if you're broke as shit, what's the alternative? Talk to people. You are in sales. You know what I mean? Like, how many contacts do you make a day? I don't have sympathy for people who ain't got no money. Bro, I had no money for 35 years of my life. Government had to pay for most of our shit. You know what I mean? And it was my choice to not work enough. It was my choice to lay on the couch and watch Big Brother for years and watch The Real Housewives of fucking Beverly Hills with Stephanie and all the stuff we used to do. You know what I mean? But dude, now it's like, and you go through this phase where it's busy and it's hard and you have to sacrifice. I get all that. But it's like you're already sacrificing now. You're sacrificing a lot of things, your potential, the way your kids could live, the way your family could live. You could take care of your parents. You could take care of your siblings. You could let your spouse stay home. You could put your kids in private school instead of being on that shitty bus, the public school bus where they do all the crap in the back that no one cares about. I didn't want my kids going through that. The younger kids did because I was so broke. I'll never forget, dude, the day I got to not only put Maddox, who y'all don't know, lives with me. It's my only child, my current wife, Steph. We've been married like 15 years now. I had 4 from a previous marriage, and my first child I had at 16. So I had a kid in high school, and I've been working a lot my whole life, dude. I was working 70 hours a week at Little Caesars when I was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. I was working 60 plus hours a week at a warehouse for 4 years, and then I went to school full time on top of that. And a lot of y'all have the same stories. You do a lot, you work a lot, you got life going on. And I'm like, but here we get independent, caps unlimited. You do anything for $1 a phone call, but you won't do it for your family and all the other goals you have written down and all the affirmations you say. And we get stuck on activity, dude. It's the biggest barrier to riches for almost everyone. It's by far the biggest. Your skill set is not the biggest holdback. That you don't have that carrier is not the biggest holdback. That so-and-so terminated you, or this one had a disconnected number. None of that shit matters. And be clear, you know what happens when you do more activity? All the stuff you hate, all the hang-ups and the no's and the fuck yous and the chargebacks and the things, you know what happens when you do more activity? You get more of them. There's more of them. There's more of the negative. No different than when Dom played baseball. Dude, if he had one at bat every other game, or he's the starter and he has 3, 4, 5 at bats a game, he's going to have more swings at the end of the year. He's going to have more strikeouts when he has more swings. He's going to get hit by more pitches when he has more at bats.
Yeah, but I want to be in the game.
Yes, sir.
Or would you rather be on the bench?
It's true, dude. And most people put themselves on the bench, bro. you know? And I'm just like, it unlocked, it let this like burden of stress I had on me, not only from life and finances and all the shit we all got in life, but from like the perception I thought it took to be great in financial services. Dude, I thought I had to wear khakis and boat shoes and talk funny, like proper. And bro, when someone was like, nah, just run a lot and be you, dude. I was like, well, what do you mean by be me? They're like, just be you. I'm like, all right. You know, and I just got to start being me with clients and just talk. And I'm like, dude, I say it all the time, dude. I'm working on a big IUL right now. And the guy's like begging me to almost push him. You know what I mean? He's like, I know I need it, but I know I need it, but I know I need it, but he's freaking out. He's kind of spastic. And I'm like, dude, I want to be clear here, bro. I don't mean to be mean here, but I don't give two shits if you buy this IUL or not. We sell enough stuff. I don't care at all. You know you need it. You keep saying you need it. It sounds like you're asking me to like beg you to buy this. Dude, I got more people to see. You in or you out? And dude, it's like this guy's putting 50 G's down in like 2,500 bucks a month. And but having that mentality early on, you sit down or talk to someone like, just give me quotes. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not the quote guy. You said you want some insurance, right? You can start speaking to people differently when you understand the numbers and you're not so desperate to make a sale on your baby level of activity. I remember that, dude. Having to beg people to buy.
Hey, John, I know you mentioned like that statement you just said. Somebody in their mind said, "Hey, you could say that now that you got all that money, right?
Nah,
You
bro.
could say that now." But I remember hearing this early in my business, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy I heard it early. Okay,
Yeah.
of no man, get that because you are that way.
Correct.
You don't change.
Correct.
So can you kind of
Yep.
give us that type of perspective on that? Because somebody heard
Yeah,
that and
dude.
said, "Yeah, it's easy for you to say that."
Yeah. I mean, bro, this goes back to the early days of banging on final expense appointments, dude. And, you know, little Susan's like, well, I don't know. I'll just bury him in the backyard. Bro, I pick up my shit and walk out of their house. I just didn't care anymore. Why? Because I had 9 more appointments that day, dude. And me dicking around with you, begging you to buy, I'm going to be late to Susan's house. I got to go, you know? And I've learned, man, sitting around, and this happens in recruiting too, right? It's the same concept. We spend so much time, right, trying to hit this person, get them to buy a policy, following up with them. And I'm not saying you shouldn't follow up and get referrals. So hear me right. But we spend so much time mentally caught up on this person right here, whether it's a client or a recruit, that we miss this person over here. We never see them because we're spending so much time over here begging for them to buy, for them to get started, for them to buy leads, for them to get on the training, for any of the things. So this goes back to the change in 2015, dude. I literally said, yo, what if I just run 1,500 appointments this year and see what happens and just get to be me? And dude, I was having those conversations early, man. When someone would be like, when they wanted a quote, I told 5, 10 people a week, bro, I ain't the quote guy. You want a quote, call State Farm. That's what they do. You want insurance, that's what I'm here for. Be like, what's your spiel? Ah, man, you wanted one of those? You need a spiel for you to cover your family? I don't do spiels. I'm just here to help you get insurance. You know what I'm saying? Guys be like, I just want the price. I'm like, I mean, you want the price because you want insurance. No, 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 I just want the price. I'd be like, Dom, hold on. I got a question, bro. And again, remember, you gave me permission to be honest with you, right? So I want to make a statement. I don't want you to punch me in the face, sir. But like, you want me to buy that you just woke up today and had so little going on in life. You just had shit curiosity in the pricing of insurance, but you don't actually want any? You want me to buy that from you right now? Clients will be like, well, I mean, I'm like, all right, so you want insurance, dude. You just don't want the bullshit spiel. Dude, I'll never forget the first time I said that to a guy, military guy, sitting at the table all pissed, gun rack on the top. I'm in the South, you know what I mean? Guns everywhere and shit. And when he said that, and I go to this one guy, I said, you really want me to buy that, dude? You've sat with 4 people and you want me to believe you're just curious about all the pricing, like it's building puzzles in your spare time? I said, what else do you want me to give you pricing on, dude? I could probably look up prices of a purple helicopter if you want. He was like, you're right. I'll take it. It was like $200 a month, dude. That's how I closed out. That one. I'll never forget that sale. Still on books today. One of those ones that emails you when the client renews.
Yep.
I mean, still on the books, dude. And it's just like that, to your point. I didn't say stuff like that early. I let people take advantage of me. I let people walk all over me. I let the client control the whole scenario, the whole conversation, the whole meeting. They were in control, and I was like, and I had heard y'all saying long enough. You don't walk into the doctor and take control of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need small talk when you go. Hey, think about how long you need to small talk in a doctor's office before you have your pants down. They don't have to do that. This is like, yo, sit on the table, take your stuff off. Got it. Let me check you out. They don't need all this stuff before they get to business. And if you're dinking around with them, they'd be like, move on. And if you're late, they don't care. How many times you go to a doctor appointment, you're on time? Never. Mine's never on time. And it's like, but I need what they have. And the clients need what y'all have way more than y'all need them. Because they are unlimited. Clients who are middle income America, who procrastinate, who don't have insurance or enough insurance, it's an unlimited supply for the rest of time. And so it's like, again, if you just play the game the right way, what are you worried about one person for when there's hundreds of millions out there? And again, who are we competing against? I'm competing against the average insurance agent, which is like you trying to make your college team competing against a bunch of little league kids who don't practice. Like, it's not hard to make the team if that's who you're competing against. You know what I mean? And I never needed to be number one, dude. I mean, I was number one in my group, but I just wanted to be in the crowd at the top. I didn't have to be one at everything. I didn't have to be the best at it. I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to be rich, dude, and take care of my family. And so I love when people say that, like, yeah, you can say that now because of where you're at. And I'm like, nah, I'm where I'm at because I was saying that shit when I was broke. I had to change the way I thought about the business and change the perspective of who I was in the transaction. And I got a lot of help with that, man. I didn't come up with this shit on my own. I just kind of put my own spin on it and finally accepted that was the way to make it happen. And now, dude, you look forward 10, 12 years where we're known for that. The industry sees the very clear difference between us and them. I know a lot of people at a lot of companies. And every time I speak to someone at another company, they're like, what the fuck do y'all put in the water over there? I'm like, oh, we just don't lie to them. That's all. We just tell them the truth.
That's the truth.
So I just, the reality is y'all are going to have to change if you want a different result. It's not insanely hard. I certainly recommend you work on a lot of self-development along the way, which it seems like y'all are doing. And if you're around Dom, I know him well enough to know that that's one of his things because he's a very different human, like all of us, than we were 10 years ago, hell, 5 years ago, And, you got to work on you. You're the biggest problem in the equation by far, And I've always done it with people that are like, it's the leads. One of my favorite things to do. And this is why people sold so much, dude, in our group. Because it's like the things that people say to convince themselves why they're not having success, the bullshit y'all sell yourselves, right? And then you tell someone else because you want them to validate it for you. So you feel good. So we tend to tell our friends and buddies and people we unsuccessful with, we tend to talk in those circles because they'll be like, yeah, those leads, those suck. Yeah, Dom's an idiot. Yeah, this, that. And they tend to agree. I liked having people in my life, dude, that would challenge my thought process. And I'm like, man, I was very blameful of external factors for my reasons for success early on. Everything was someone else's fault or something else's fault. Everything. And I had to look at it and do like, what role did I play in this going sideways? What role did I play in it not making a sale? Like, because everyone you talk to wanted insurance till y'all showed up. You go, they didn't fill it out. I mean, I just don't believe that. When they say they didn't fill it out and they're not interested, y'all believe them still. I don't believe them. It's just a very easy smokescreen that when they say it, y'all go, okay, and you hang up. Why would they quit saying it? It keeps working for them. It's like in the manuscript for like how to overcome or how to prevent like weak salespeople from talking to you. You just say one of these 3 things. There's like 3 or 4 of them. It's a one-sheeter for clients. And if they say one of these, most people go away. you know? And I just found, man, early on, I believed the stuff. I believed they were broke. I believed that they were going to call their attorney and check to see if it was a good fit for them. I believe they were going to check with their sister's dog to see if it was a good policy. I believe they were going to call me back next Tuesday. I believe they were going to be there at 6 o'clock tonight because they're in the car and they're busy right now, but call me at 6. I'll answer. I believed them. You know what I mean? I just had to start learning, dude. There's a game. They're playing a game too. Y'all play a game. Change the situation. Go to the mall right now and go into your favorite store that sells your favorite fucking jeans. What's the little sucker going to walk up to you and say? And then what are you going to say right back? And he's going to tuck his tail between his legs and walk away. Y'all play the same game. So you got to understand you're full of shit too when you say you're not looking. Fair? So why do you think they're not doing the same thing you're doing? That's the game piece y'all don't get. It's like understanding there is a little bit of psychology, but if you want to go, how do I keep it simple? Stop believing them. You start there. That'll cover like 90% of it, you know? And man, once I figured that out, dude, it just still hasn't stopped, bro. And, you know, fast forward today, man, I just keep teaching the same thing. And I don't know, we did like an $18 million last month with, I don't know, 1,700 writers or something stupid. You know what I mean? It's like, this thing works, dude. And I've seen it work for so many different people from so many different backgrounds. And I wish I could take you guys back in time with us. I wish I could take you back in time when we were all broke and we used to have to go, hey, back in the day, dude, going to Ruby Tuesdays after a hotel meeting at 11:30 at night because you could get the buy one, get one half off or get one free appetizers we used to share. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, dude, we used to have to like, oh, we'll split a 6-piece chicken. Dom and I will split it. You know, like that was real stuff at one point. But we understood how to get out of it and how to build it. And I think together, when we really started working together, you brought a lot to my table too, dude. You know what I mean? And that combination, that's what's so cool about seeing some of y'all that keep working together over the period of time. The combination of thought process that's towards winning. You put those things together and you stop listening to all the noise in your life. This thing can change in a hurry, dude, because mine was overnight. It was overnight I changed. It wasn't gradual. I was licensed for 5 years. And then after one meeting and one conversation, there were other conversations along the way. But one day, I changed my mind, dude. One day. I just made a decision one day. And that decision, dude, has made me 8 figures in this business. And we keep killing it from one decision, one day. I still remember the day like it was yesterday. I know exactly where I was. I know exactly what was going on in my life. I was in legal trouble from not paying bills. I was in divorce shit, child support stuff, alimony stuff, bankruptcy stuff. I had all kinds of stuff going on. And I was like, F it. Go time. I got to change. I got to be a different person. I got to take care of my family. I got to do something different. And I talked to Steph and I'm like, yo, here's what I got to do. I got to go. And I went and made shit happen, dude. I mean, again, you watched it. So it's kind of cool to have someone around that saw it happen. But I was just an everyday Joe, just like the rest of the folks here, dude. Just like you were, you know?
Hey, Bryce got one here, man. Would you have agents activity trackers? All right. How do you coach them through that and how often?
Yeah, I mean, dude, for me, bro, like if someone wants help and they don't at least do that, I'm like, do you want me to just make up an answer on how to help you? You know what I mean? So for me, it's required, dude. I don't know, man. Again, you could take a little kid that works at Dunkin' Donuts and they track how many donuts they sell. So to me, it's just a very, very basic part of business. I don't even understand how people don't use it. Now, for me, I do understand how not everybody's going to know how to keep track of it and put it in Excel and come up with ratio, all that crazy stuff. I was a psychopath, dude. So I just did that for the team. So they report them. I kept track of them over the long run. You know what I mean? So again, some people I get aren't numbers people and all that stuff, but keep it simple. You know, even if you just look at those sheets of paper, I kept those sheets forever. I just did it on a blank sheet of paper back in the day before we made those dial trackers. I remember when a bunch of us sat and made those things with the dashes and all that crap. But I just jotted it down, man. I looked at it every day because again, for me, it's like why not have standards for the day? So do you not have anything if you go, I'm going to make X amount of phone calls, X amount of presentations, or X amount of sales before I stop? You should have a minimum phone calls, sales, phone calls, presentation, sales. and you don't stop till you hit at least one of them. Meaning, if a lot of guys are like 500 phone calls, 6 presentations, 1 sale a day, or I don't stop. If you make it in the first call, like whoever did earlier, cool. Now you have a choice to make. Do I keep going? Do I stop? But if you're having a rough day and your standards are minimum 500 phone calls, minimum 6 presentations, minimum 1 sale, that day you just don't stop. But do you have the discipline to do that? You know what I mean? And that's where the catch comes in. And so for me, if I'm tracking it daily, I can see progress, and then you total it. And at the end of the week, look at it. Again, if I'm going to the gym today, dude, and I do, I don't know, 100 jumping jacks. Well, tomorrow if I go to the gym and I'm trying to get amazing at jumping jacks. Tomorrow when I go to the gym, do I do less than 100? Or would I do more? I'm trying to be the jumping jack champion of the world. I do more than 100 the second day, right? All right. So if I do 110 the second day, what do I do the third day at the gym? Do I now do 30 or do I beat the 110? I should probably want to either beat the 110 or do it faster. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I just don't think people look at this that way. Like, you want to build muscles, dude, you got to pay attention to it. You want to lose weight, you got to watch calories. You got to pay attention to shit. And I just don't know how people win like kind of like this. Now, for the couple unicorns in the space that win like this and they close 90% and no one cancels and all the stuff and they spend 5 cents a week on leads, dude, they're a unicorn. Just, they ain't one of us. I don't train on that shit. I give that guy a high five and I get out of the way and I tell no one to listen to him because you can't have that. I don't have that. I don't know how to have that. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, I grew up where they sell CDs out of the back, out of their trunk of their car. And as soon as you touch it, it's yours. You know what I mean? And you sell slushies with the gumball in the bottom of it at the apartment up the street. And you sell candy and you sell cassette. Like, that's, I grew up with a hustle environment. And this turned into a hustle when I understood the numbers. That allowed me to be me and who I know, which is I'll go to work, and I learned the game. Again, you tell me to learn the sales strategy, how to overcome an objection from a 64-year-old on social. Listen, these clients are so skilled at business and life. Think about what the average age of the person you all talk to is. And then think about what the average income is, especially on the senior side. What's the average income of a client? What's their average source of income? All right, y'all all got that person pictured. And you're trying to be an elite salesperson, and you can't overcome Susan, who's 64 and lives on $812 a month and has 2 objections in her arsenal. Y'all can't figure out how to overcome that with time and reps. I just think we cloud ourselves with other stuff because when I say it like that, it's like, oh no, you say it like that, it ain't that hard. I know, but you're putting that like it's a 27 thing to do. I mean, no, that should be first. Just do that all day, every day. You know what I mean? And good news is you'll trip over enough sales by mistake to make a decent living. And then you get good and add some skill set to it. And this thing it can be unlimited, dude. And now there's so many people selling on their own pen. On their own pen, $100,000 a month, all over the country. $100,000 a month, all over the country, on their own pen is being sold in your company, probably in your leaderboard. And some of y'all are stuck at $4,000 a month still, $12,000 a month still. You're shitting less than 20 in a month. You probably ain't making no damn money. Fair? You're shitting 6, 8, 10, 12, dude, you're going to be broke forever. Unless you're a single mom, it's part-time, side gig, you want to make an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month, great. But for people that do this, $100,000 a month is happening all day, every day in this space. And most of y'all aren't seeking that yet. So to get to 20, 30, 40, like, do you not think you can do 20, 30, 40% of what the guys on stage are doing who can't get a sentence out of their mouth when they train? Y'all hear them train. Some of them can't speak, and they're knocking down $100,000 a month. I'm like, damn, you use a word past 7 letters, dude, I got to Google it. And we're killing it in life. You know what I mean? So just go to work, man, and again, get help along the way, dude.
Dude, this has been phenomenal, John. All right, I appreciate it. I got a page full of notes. I know folks on here got notes, getting text. comments here, and dude, I just want to say thank you. All right, thank you for this, and I know the team, the men and women on here are very appreciative, and we're gonna
Yeah.
go out there and knock this thing out in May and through the summer, and keep ribbing this thing because I like what you said. Do more now, get better later.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
want to know
that.
who's willing to do it. Who's willing to do it? Like, who really is willing to do it? Like, just go work your mother effing face off. I want to know who's willing to do it. I like want to help some people that are willing to do it, dude. Mhm.
I'm gonna do it. Yeah,
Who, who is that?
Jason.
Jason? All right. What are you going to do next month? How many appointments? Presentations, dials? Tell me something. Give me a number you're going to hit. Some activity number.
You know what? Appointment wise, I want to do about 7 or 8 a day.
Presentations. Yeah. You
Point,
telesales? Yep.
Presentation.
yeah,
Yep.
telesales.
Yep. Cool. Love it.
I'm gonna get
7 a
my
day.
I'm gonna get
How
my
many days a
dials
week?
up.
How many days a week? Seven a day. How many days a week?
You know what? I've been working 7 days a week except for Mother's Day. Took off.
So that's 50 a week. So 200 in a month.
Yep.
Bet check. I do math quick, bro. 200 between now and June 16th. I'm in. You said it. Dom, write it down. See what he does,
I
bro.
just did, and you
Hey.
said it, dude. And we're looking at 25%, dude. That's 50.
Yeah. Hey, I want you to, Jason, tag me every week at the end with your number on social.
Okay.
Publicly. I want you to put it out there to the world, bro. Dom and John put me a challenge. I said I'd do it. Here's where I'm at. Who else said
What's
they
your
were gonna do it?
Instagram? I'm
John
I'm gonna
Wetmore.
get my John Wetmore. All right. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get my dials up. I do about 220, $250 a day with like 2 to 3 presentations. So I can do like $500-600 a day. And at least
All
six,
right.
7 presentations a day.
So here's how I see the math on stuff like that, dude. So call it 3 presentations. You don't mind if I keep talking, Dom, do you?
No, not at all, bro.
Three presentations a day, Zach, right? How long does
Uh-huh.
each one take on average?
About 25 minutes.
Okay, so that's how long presenting? 25 minutes times 3. How long are you presenting a day on average?
About an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. All right. And then the other, call it 200 phone calls, don't pick up, you don't present.
Mhm.
Each one of those takes how long? Just one, they don't pick up, they tell you to F off.
Mm. I don't know, it rings like 3 times, then I hang up usually. Call back again.
All right. So a minute each time.
If that, yeah.
Okay. We'll round up so we can do easy math. So that's a
All right.
couple hundred minutes of phone calls, right? So how many hours is that in a day? 60, 120,
Two,
180,
3.
2 or 3. We'll call it 3 to
Yeah.
help you out in this equation that you're going to fail.
All right.
So 3 on the phone, 2 presenting is 5 hours a day.
Mhm.
Like, meaning if you hung up here and you call everyone in your phone that's not in insurance and you go, hey, dude, I'm upset. And I don't know you. So please don't take offense if I misjudge anything. You know what I mean? But like,
All good.
dude, I'm upset about where I'm at financially and I work 5 hours a day at my career.
Yeah, even just say this. Yeah.
I mean, like, no offense, dude. I was 17 working 16 hours a day. And I was you in insurance. And I had to look at myself, bro, and go, I'm highly unimpressed. I was making a couple hundred phone calls a week and presenting 6 times a week. My number came, when I did the math, it came up to like 13 hours a week for me. So the way I do it in my head, if you give yourself, especially in telesales, 30 minutes for a presentation and 1 minute for a phone call, that's not a presentation, right? Because you're not even on the phone.
Mhm.
And if you're recruiting, we can do that separate. But you should hit 40 hours doing those 2 things. 3 if you're doing recruiting. And a recruiting call is 15 minutes. You know what I mean? 20 minutes, whatever. You can do 3 or 4 of them an hour. So the big change I made in 2015 was I was going to take 40 hours and I was going to spend 40 hours presenting and prospecting. All the other shit that I said I was doing, that was going to be overtime. 40 hours a week prospecting and presenting. I promise you it will change your world. You only get 1 minute per dial as credit, and you get 30 minutes per presentation as credit. If you're slow and you take an hour and a half, sorry, you still only get 30 minutes credit. It just is what it is. 1 minute of phone call, 30 minutes of presentation, call it 20 minutes an interview. I promise you, if you keep track of those 3 things at those 3 intervals and you hit 40 hours a week for a year, you will be on your way to getting rich. You will make a gang of money. And I just was like, dude, for me, when I looked at those numbers, Dom, I knew I was in my head, I sucked. Right? I wasn't performing. I wasn't at a high level. I wasn't elite. So I kept telling myself I sucked, which was a really poor thing to do. When I made that choice, dude, I was like, yo, what if I just go suck more often? What if I just suck more often? And instead of sucking 13 hours a week, I suck 40 hours a week. Wouldn't I triple my income? I was like, fuck it, let's try that this year. And dude, my income doubled the first year. Actually tripled. I went from like 80 grand to like 350 net. The next year doing that, I went to like 750. And the next year after that, I went to 1.8 million. So within 2.5 years of that change, I made 7 figures, dude. I was making 150 grand a month within 2.5 years of that one change. 40 hours a week doing those things. You know? So I had when I wrote the book, dude, for those of you that haven't seen it, I had to write, I don't know if you can see that. I had to write in like, it was like doing a 3rd grade book report where you had to put like extra spaces and make the font size 14 so it could fill the book. Because all it really says is work your ass off. That's all it says in here. You know what I mean? So I had to tell a lot of stories and put really big font. But it is cool. It was fun writing it. Makes sense?
It's a really good book. Really good book.
All right, Zach. So what's your dial number?
600 a day.
600 a day.
Oh, you mean what's my number? How much like I make? You said it's $1.
Nope. How many dials you gonna make? We're gonna write your number down too. Next 30 days.
Next 30 days. 600
a day.
Yeah. Well, I just got a dialer now, so I probably could not a person, but like the CRM. I was moving in ancient times, so I think I could do at least $600-700 a day.
All right, we'll say 6. How many days a week you work?
6.
So 6 times 6 is 3,600, 7,200, $14,000 in a month. You down?
You said $14,000 in a month?
That's what the math says.
I'm down with the math.
600 a day. It's only 1 a minute for a full-time day. I ain't asking you to work 20 hours a day.
I could do that.
All right. If you write it down and don't hit it, we're going to remind you.
All right.
I'm in.
Look for that tag. It's Dapper Life on Instagram. You're going to see it.
I love it. Anybody else want to put out a number? Who's going to hit what? Anybody else got one? $300 a day from Susan. Just do the math. Come up with a monthly number. Send it to Dom. And then tag me once a week. 10K by the end of the month. And I won't stop till I get there. Henry, I love it, dude. Put some activity numbers behind it. Y'all do it. Take an exercise tonight. Go through. Think about what you want to commit to for your life. Whatever that is. Whatever you want to accomplish. Whatever you want to do for your kids and your family. Think about it. Donate money to church. Go on trips. Go on vacation. Knock yourself out. Spend it however you want. But be true to yourself. Commit to something and go chase it. That's the game. That's the game of life, dude. Put some down on paper and chase it every day. The problem is y'all don't know your numbers and you aren't chasing anything but sales. And you're only chasing sales. That's tough. You're chasing result. Well, I don't know. That's like chasing abs and eating pizza. It's like, tough game. You know? So kill it. Happy to help, dude.
Let's rock, man. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. Great feedback.
Thank you, John.
Keep rocking.
Yes,
Later,
sir.
guys.
Y'all have a good one. Later.